Sadly, every year we hear about children drowning in swimming pools. As we mentioned just yesterday, a 4-year-old drowned at a community pool in our area in Zachary, and experts are recommending parents put their children in swimming lessons. This is the perfect time to remind families about staying safe in the water. 3-time Olympic gold medalist Rowdy is with us this morning. He's going to share everything we need to know to protect the little ones. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Rowdy. Let's start with the misconceptions, of course, that a lot of parents have, because sometimes some people think that those floating devices that a lot of parents put on their arms and legs, but those things can cause some concerns.
Yeah, they can, and it's a false sense of security for many parents, because those water wings that they put on children when it's non-swim time and that child is attracted to water, which happens so much, they still feel like they have those water wings on, for example, and they keep that child vertical. And the idea is to stay horizontal as much as possible, because you want to teach that child how to float on their back. So yeah, when you're around pools, toys are toys, they're great, they're fun, but when you're around that pool, you have to keep an eye on that child and eliminate those toys in the water and on the pool deck when they're not having pool time.
Yeah, supervision is so important, because I was looking up some statistics that a lot of the drownings even happen sometimes in front of parents and supervision being supervised, and it's not always just accidental when no one's around.
Yeah, I mean, most drownings happen during non-swim time, but many happen during a party setting. That's why I'm always begging parents, please keep an eye on your child. Never take your eye off, and always keep them within arm's length. A child can drown in as little as 20 or 30 seconds. So when there is a party, for example, in a backyard, always have that water watcher. Always have that adult keeping an eye on all the children, because it's a silent killer. It's not like the movies where they're thrashing and yelling. It literally looks like they're kind of bobbing up and down in the water. So please keep an eye on your child. But the most important thing is put your child, as you said in the beginning, in swim lessons.
And of course, so when it comes to those swim lessons, at what age would you recommend a parent teaching their children to start swimming?
Well, a child, as soon as they learn how to walk, is going to find the water, Reggie. I mean, you know, it's like a magnet. And it is the leading cause of death in children ages 1 to 4. And it breaks my heart for what happened in your community, because we were just talking before we came on air, and, you know, it affects the entire community. And it brings everybody down. And my important message is, when a child takes formal swim lessons, it reduces that risk by 88%. The greatest joy I've ever had in my life, Reggie, as a parent and as a grandparent especially, and as a kid, is around a pool, you know, especially as we head into the summer, right? The joy it creates. And I just think it's important that you learn that life-saving skill of learning how to swim at an early age.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned, you know, I guess the family affair, and of course people hanging out around the pool. What would you recommend to, I guess, that parent that wants to teach their children to swim, but they may be scared to learn how to swim themselves? So what would you recommend for someone to overcome that fear of the water?
Well, that's a good point, because especially in the African-American community, Reggie, the biggest reason why more minority children do not know how to swim is because the parent has that fear, and that fear is passed down to that child. So yes, adults can learn how to swim, but even if you have that fear, don't pass it down to your child. That happens across the board. It doesn't matter whether it's Caucasian, Hispanic, African-American. That fear, if somebody has the fear as an adult, it's usually passed down to the child. So, hey, listen, I've taught plenty of adults the life-saving gift, again, of learning how to swim. And what I tell parents is, please don't pass that fear down to your child.
And real quickly, we have just a few seconds left. What resources would you suggest for parents when it comes to swimming lessons or even water safety?
Well, our website, stepintoswim.org, will give you all the necessary resources to check out a local swim lesson provider for you. And it also has a checklist that you can see and say, okay, this is what I need to do. Create layers of protection, create those barriers. There's a lot of different factors in trying to remain safe in and around water, whether it's pools or in your community, lakes, rivers, ponds, you name it. It can happen anywhere.